Hello creative designers and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Kazungu Duncan, the director and founder Ero Productions company. In our today's photo editing tutorial, I would like to show you or teach you how to turn this black and white photo into this photo. So basically what we'll be doing will be coloring this photo and putting some adjustment layers. You can see I have several of them here. Then we shall see how of course we are going to do this. But before that, I would like to thank one of the YouTuber who is a teacher at YouTube. He's called Anmesh Dinta from Pixie Imperfect. This is a good guy. You can go online and watch his stuff. He really teaches well when it comes to Photoshop or even video editing, and I want just to say thank you so much because I've learned so much from him. Without further ado, let's start this tutorial. Now, in the first thing I want to do is that I want to delete this group so that we can just start from scratch. Then I want to make a copy of this. There are many ways you can do that. You can either use Ctrl J on your keyboard or Command J, and the next thing you can do, you can even just right click and say duplicate layer and just name it like say edit, and then say OK. Then the next thing you can the other way you can duplicate it is just by dragging and dropping it here. Then you'll have created a new layer. So let's work with this. Then the first adjustment layer I want to add is a gradient map. But before that, I want to bring a reference image. You must have a reference image where I'm going to take the skin tones of that skin. Then I'm going to paint on his face. Then a disclaimer is that I'm recording when it's raining, so I hope you will understand that. So I want to use this image for as my reference image. So therefore I'll drag it into my Photoshop, just like that. Then let's allow it to load. Then I'll create palettes out of that. Then I'll use the palettes to create the colors. Then we can take now the colors and paint on his face. Then I'll just make this photo a bit big, just like that. Let me position it there. I really don't need the whole of it, so I can use the lasso tool to just pick a part of it. Then I'll use that part to, of course, pick the pixels and the colors. Then I can create the palettes. So I'll just take the lasso tool. It's not a must that you be that precise. You can just make a random selection of the face, because I really need the face. Then just say Ctrl J to copy. Then I'll delete this because I no longer need that. I'll just delete this layer because I don't need it. I'll just use this face alone. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pick some pixels from this image and just make a palette here. So I'll create a new layer on top of this. I just create a new layer. Then I'll pick the eyedropper. Then once the eyedropper is chosen, at the sample size, make sure it is either 3x3 average or 5x5 average. Do not leave it at point sample. The reason why I'm picking this 5 is that when I'm going to pick the colors, it's going to draw a square of 5x5 pixels and sample out the pixels and take the average color of that sample. So that's why I'm saying just leave it at 5x5 or 3x3. And then make sure that the sample is all layers. You can even choose current layer below or current layer, just current layer. But then to make things easier, just pick all layers. Then we shall pick the first color is this dark part. Just click this dark part. After you select that color, I'll take a soft brush and I'll make sure it's, of course, this is a soft brush, and I'll just make a palette here. just like that. Then the next color I'm going to pick is you can see some brightness here. Let me pick this color here. It's more of I think it's a skin tone. Of course, it's about to be red. I'll just pick that and also paint here just like that. Then I'll pick another color. For example, this is darker than the other one, so I'll just pick this one and also paint it here. You can see it's a bit darker than the first one. Then maybe the last one that I'll pick is let me see something like this. I think this is also good. I just pick it and make a palette of it here, just like that. Then just to make things clean and beautiful, I'll just take the marquee tool and make a random selection here, and then just say Ctrl J to copy that. And then I'll delete the things that I want to use, like this. Let me delete that layer, and also let me delete that layer. So I'll have the palettes here, which I'm going to use as my reference colors. Now we can now start adding the adjustment layers slowly by slowly as we build. Then of course, after like few minutes, in few minutes time, we should be through with this. So allow me to make a new adjustment layer. I'll just come here and choose gradient map, then just click here once. I can now dissolve that, and once I'm here, of course, to my left is these are the shadows and these are the highlights. So we are going to make some adjustments here. For example, just click here and click color. Then using this eyedropper, I'll pick from my palettes here. Just choose like this. I think I chose something wrong. Of course, it should be here, of course. Then don't pick on the mask, just pick on this and pick here, so that the changes are made not on the mask but on the main thing. Then of course, these are the highlights, so the highlights have to be a bit darker, so I'll pick this dark color just like that. We shall do refinement later on, so just allow me to pick the colors, then we shall do some adjustment later on. The highlights, of course, they are brighter, so I'll pick the brighter color like this one to be my highlights, and I've said we shall make some changes here. Then I'll just click here to add a toggle. Then I'll of course pick the toggle and give it a color. For example, this is after the darker one. I think I should pick this to that point. Then I'll add another toggle somewhere like this, and on this toggle I'm going to add at least a lighter color just like this. Then of course you can see it's all over. Then I can come here and just try to balance this lighting so that it's well balanced throughout the image. I can raise the shadows a bit, just like that. We shall do some refinement, so do not worry about this. Just click OK and dissolve this. Then the next thing I want to do, I want to change the blending mode of this layer to a different mode. So I'll change it to color, because this is of course coloring. I'll change it to color. Then after that we shall be applying the colors of course to the specific places. You can see it is all over, but then we shall invert the layer and then start painting slowly by slowly. But then you can as well now try to change these toggles and see what suits where and what makes sense and what does not make sense. Of course, raise the highlights, that's too much. Then I will of course raise this one so that it is becoming at least realistic when you're doing this. And of course that is it. So what I'll do, I'll click in this mask, then I'll click Ctrl I to invert the layer, the mask I mean. Then after the mask is inverted, I will now start painting slowly by slowly. So let me hit Ctrl I or Command I, just like that. Sorry, just like that. Then I will start now painting. Once that mask has been selected, I'll take a soft brush. Then of course the white should be in the background. To change these color palettes, just hit X on your keyboard. It will of course change the orientation. The white reveals, the black conceals. So we want to reveal, of course the white should be on top. Then I'll increase the size of my brush and start painting on his face. I'll just do a random painting. Of course you may take time and start to, you know, make this precise. Make sure that the flow is 100%. I had done it at 60. What this means is that when it's 100, you just need to paint once, but when it is less than 100, you will paint, but then you'll paint so many times at the same place so that you can reach 100. But I don't want that. Let me just raise it to 100 so that it's fast and easy. So I'll just make a random selection and paint. Of course I can zoom in to of course see what is truly happening here, and just like that, introduce the size of the brush and continue painting. I'll just paint the face just like that. You will take your time to refine this. For me, I might not be that precise at this moment, but at least once you are trying it on your own, you will refine until you see you have achieved the skin tone that you want. Just paint to the face just like this. So if you are new to this channel, I would like you to hit that subscribe button and also turn the notifications on so that you will be notified whenever I really make new, I post new videos. So I've said that you will be precise when you're doing this. Of course I'm doing it as fast as possible so that I don't waste your time in doing this, but at least I'm painting to where these colors deserve to be, just like this. So you might be saying, you are painting and you're painting on his beard, you're painting where you should not paint, you're painting outside this image. But don't worry, we shall refine that in just a few. In just a few we shall be painting precisely. Of course I will reduce this size, and also the ears, the ear, this one ear that is seen here should also be painted. Then I reduce the flow, the flow, not the opacity, reduce just the flow and paint here just like this. Then you realize that I've not done it well. Of course some parts I'm painting outside and other parts I'm painting not well. So what I'm doing, I'll hit X to change between the black and the white, and I will conceal these colors that are outside the required place, like on the beards and all that. Just like this, I'll just hide them so that they are not being seen here. So you just change between black and white. When you want to conceal, you must have black in the background, in the foreground, then white in the background. Then once you want to reveal, you have white in the foreground. so that it is realistic. You know, we are creating something that is realistic. And in case I want to increase the brightness, I'll just increase it here. But if you increase it too much, you see it's not that realistic. So I will put it somewhere just like this. Say okay, then come to the highlights and select here. Then in the highlights, let me see about hue or saturation. I guess where it was fine. How about saturation? If I try to increase it, I think this is okay. The brightness, I try to lower it a bit. I think the darker it is, the better. Then I can lastly maybe play around with this. Of course, I'll just raise the brightness just like that. And of course, you'll have your time to, I mean, refine this to something that is beautiful, and there's something that, you know, that's too much, something that is good. And I guess that's good. Oh, let me just, I think that was good. Just say okay. Then the next thing I want to do is I want to add, you know, when it's a skin, of course, there are parts that will have, of course, some reddish, and other parts will be darker. And before that, I want to just to add in blend if. For example, I want to remove the brighter parts from the shadows and also remove the dark parts from the highlights. So I'll just double click here on the right of this gradient map. Then it will open for me the blending options. Then the underlying layer, this is what we are going to regulate. The underlying layer, you can reduce it or increase it just like this. You'll realize that the shadows are becoming more and more, but you'll realize that when I'm doing this, it is so harsh. So I want to smoothen it. You just hold option on your Mac or alt on your Windows, then just click here so that it is smooth. You can see the difference. It's now smooth, it's not that harsh. Of course, hold alt just like that. Then you can of course regulate it so that you see the difference. In the shadows, I think that's okay. Then you'll do the same in the highlights to just, I mean, make sure that the thing is soft and clear, and change these values. You can remove the brighter parts in the shadows and also remove the dark parts in the highlights, just like that. Then say okay. In case we'll need some adjustments, we'll just come here and adjust it. The next thing I want to do is I want to add an adjustment layer called hue or saturation. Then I'll make the reddish parts of the skin. So I'll come here and click on hue stroke saturation. Then the thing I want to do is I want to pick a color from either the forehead or the cheeks that is a bit red. Just pick this hand. After picking that hand, pick a brighter color like for example, let me pick from the cheek here, something like that. Then I can want to reduce this to bluish, increase the reds in it. That's too much. And the lightness, you can reduce the lightness just like that. Increase the reddish, but not that too much, but at least to something that is good, just like that. Then I'll come to the mask and hit Ctrl I, and then I want now to paint to specific places where I feel that there should be some reddish, like the blood vessels and all that. Like on these eyes here, they should be a bit dark because of the blood vessels here. Of course, here again you see it should be a bit darker. Also, this part of the eye should also be a bit darker, and of course here. So you also on the cheeks, there's some reddish should be here. If you want to increase the flow, you can increase so that it's a bit clear, like here again on the cheeks, and also some parts of this nose should be at least you realize where the blood vessels are is where you want to paint, so that it is seen as realistic. If it is too much, Ctrl Z and change this flow so that it is not that harsh, and then you paint where you feel that there should be some reddish. So if I can show you the before and after, so at least you are adding some dark parts in your image. You will refine it later. Let me now add another adjustment layer. You can see when I was painting, I painted into the eyes, and the eyes look like, you know, they are reddish or something, but I just need to make them some to make it a bit bluish. So I'll also make a hue or saturation layer, and in that manner now I'll use Colorize. You can still use the gradient map procedure, but again you can just come and use hue and saturation and just make sure it is colorized. Then pick a color. I think some blue will do good. Then if you want to increase the saturation a bit or reduce, then the lightness, can reduce it a bit so that, you know, it's a bit dark. Again, I'll come here to the mask, layer mask, hit Ctrl I or Command I. Then I will paint to specific places where I want it to be. So these are the eyes. I'll paint into these eyes so that they are this beautiful, not like how it was before. Maybe Ctrl Z. Let me first of all paint on this iris. Then I'll go to the pupil and all that, so that, you know, the layers are well, seen, just like this. If I'll make a mistake, of course I'll go back and refine that, so don't worry. Then I'll reduce the flow further to something like that and paint here so that it's not that much. Of course I'll also make a tutorial on how to make this eyes maybe red, to solve the red eye thing and all that. So I hope that when I'll make that tutorial you'll watch. I'll also make some bluish here and increase this to something like 28, and also paint here. Of course we shall refine it, just don't worry about this, we shall refine this. Then I'll hit X just to conceal the colors that are outside the eyelid. Like when they are on the eyelid, they should not be there, just to conceal these colors outside here, just like that. Also make some changes here so that it is precise to the eye, not outside the eye, and so that it is realistic, just like this. If I zoom out, and you will see at least now the eyes are different. Then the next thing I want to do is I need to make some this Marvin that is putting on, maybe I can change its color. If it's putting on something like how do you call it, like if it has a shirt, you can even paint it and all that, but for this case I just need to paint on this Marvin. I'll make another adjustment layer, hue or saturation. Then I'll also use Colorize and choose the color of this, maybe blue or also will do well. Then increase maybe the saturation, reduce the lightness, just like that. I'll also hit Ctrl I. I will hit X. Then I will paint the bluish part, just like that. Just need this Marvin to be a bit bluish, and of course there are darker parts that I won't even bother because it won't be seen, just like that. Then hit X to remove the blue that was outside the Marvin that is putting on, just like that. When I zoom out, you will see like that was before, that is after. Then I've realized that it's putting on a ring, and this ring I just need to retain its color, maybe something like something like silvery. So I'll just come back to gradient map, then select here, and of course I'll make sure that black is in the foreground, and just reduce the size of the brush and paint over here, so that I conceal this color and reveal the original color of this ring, so that it is not also having the color of the skin. So when you'll be doing this, kindly make sure that you're precise, but I'm just giving you the way forward on how to make this your black and white image look colorful in color grading in Photoshop. So once I zoom out, I think this will be how the image looks like, and I can just for example just delete this, and I'll group this into one group. Just select the top, select the bottom, hit and put it into a group. This is before, this is after. If you feel that it is too much, you just reduce its opacity to something that is realistic, just like that, because sometimes you'll feel that the colors are harsh and someone will just know that you really painted this. So once it is in the group, you can now reduce the opacity of that group to a favorable opacity. So I hope this image is now good. Once it is printed, of course you'll feel how beautiful it is, just like it was black and white, and I've turned it to be in this manner. And you'll have different images, and the settings will of course be different. Different images will have different settings, and I hope that you will find the setting that suits your image. So again, if you are new to my YouTube channel, I would like you to subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit that bell icon, so that you may be notified whenever I upload new stuff. I'm planning also to do many other tutorials. I'm instilling some knowledge into you through online for free, and the only good thing you can do is to pay back is just to subscribe to my YouTube channel. And I hope that this tutorial truly helped you, and I'm looking forward to have many tutorials with you. Otherwise, thank you for watching Ero Productions, and let's meet in the next tutorial.